Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nothing Left Unsaid. I'm your host Abigail, and I'm so excited to be here for an interview today with Sahara Sajjadi from Copper Courier. Thank you so much for being here today. We're really excited to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This is like a dream come true. Everybody knows that the measure of success in Arizona is to be on your podcast.
Oh,
so
wow.
I made it.
That is really exciting to hear. Thank you for that. We've definitely been wanting to have you on pretty much since the first season, so really excited we can make that happen.
That is so romantic.
So I guess we'll get right into it. Before your current job at Copper Courier, what first got you interested in politics?
Yeah, so both my parents were journalists in Iran before they came here. And so I think, there was just like a natural affinity towards news and politics, and just growing up in a really political household where the news is on all day. And then at the time, like growing up, this wasn't top of mind, but it was a very political existence. And I didn't realize that until probably I came to political consciousness in high school, when I learned about different aspects of society and how it impacted me in unique ways. So prior to my role in journalism, I always had a passion for combating inequality and inequity, and then pursuing social justice and those endeavors. And so I did different things. I worked in sexual violence prevention. I worked for different like nonprofits and causes that mattered to me. But I was always really passionate about communication and storytelling. And that's probably the genetics, right? Like my parents were journalists, and then I have more of an affinity for speaking and for writing. And so once, it's actually funny because in high school, I started like tweeting, right? Just like my thoughts and explaining things. Mm-hmm. And, I'm just 14, but it randomly got an audience, right? Like I got followers within my city of people who were listening. And I was like, wait, people care. Like people at different high schools knew me from Twitter. Like I have friends to this day, and they're like, how do you know each other? I'm like, Twitter. Yeah. So just like growing up in a highly politicized world and having like a political existence as like a Middle Eastern person, mm-hmm. In a post 9/11 world, totally. Like that was just very things that were really hard for me growing up. Once I came to political consciousness and understood them, that's when I was like, wait. And then there's like a way to remedy that. And it's to talk about our experiences and to talk about other people's experiences and shine a light on them. So yeah, prior to politics, I just had those passions. And it came, and then once I got older, I was like, I'm going to pursue journalism. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I did prior to politics. Mm-hmm.
Well, the passion for storytelling definitely shows through. When did you kind of start your journalism trajectory, I guess?
Yeah, I really like this question because there is such a standout moment for me. When I was so growing up, as I said, always had an affinity for writing. I had like a home news, like a little newspaper about what everybody in my house was doing.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
It was so fun. I have to send it to you. It's called Home News.
Please. That's adorable.
Sometimes I would like film myself relaying the news. I have it. And so there was that. And then in fifth grade, we had these spelling tests, and I kept, not to flex, but I kept getting hundreds. And so
two spelling bee queens right here.
There we go. Like, let's spell. And so my teacher was like, okay, you just need to start a class newspaper. I'm not going to keep making you take these tests that you're getting hundreds on. I was like, okay, great. So I started the class newspaper. I was the editor. I also had like a fashion section.
Nice. I love that.
It would always be like, who did it better? Like, so that was really fun.
Was that like celebrities who did it better, or people at your school?
Oh my God. I wish it was people at my school. No, it was celebrities. That'd be so fun. I'd get like suspended.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that. And then the really stand-up moment, as I was saying, where I decided I was going to pursue journalism and storytelling. I went to Iran in 2022, and I was with my cousin and her friend, and we were at the top of the mountain. It's called Darband Mountain. It's so marvelous. You can take a bus, and it's like 5 minutes to get to the top, or you can walk, which is like 20 minutes. And then you have a very marvelous view of Tehran, like the city. Mm-hmm. It was at nighttime. I was only there for 2 weeks. And so I was telling my family member, like, oh, I love it here. It's so nice here. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm having so much fun. And then I came back down because, you know, then my cousin was like, well, yeah, you're a tourist, right? Like, you're American, you're going to go back. You're only here for 2 weeks. The things that you don't like are temporary. You don't have to deal with it the way we do, who don't have, Iranians have some of the highest rate of visa rejections from the US. So it's really hard for them to migrate. And so once they relayed that to me, how difficult their day-to-day was. And I remember it so vividly, just looking out at the city and hearing them talk. Hearing them say that to me, and then they added, but what can we do? Like, if we say anything about our bad economic conditions, if we say anything about how terrible the country is, the codified misogyny, all these things, they'll throw us into prison. But then they added, but you can. Like, you can go to America. You can speak on our behalf. You can do all the right things. Yeah, exactly. And so that was such a large scale, right? Like, I was in Iran, now I'm in America, Arizona, doing stuff pertaining to Arizona, and both of my passions, you know, Arizona and Iran. And so in that moment, I really understood the impact of the written and the spoken word. I'm also a student of history. Like, I love to read. I love to learn about different historical and political movements. Documenting is one of the most important and pivotal things that you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, and, you know, sometimes you don't see the benefits in that moment, maybe not even in your lifetime, but sometimes it comes way, way later, right? Sometimes it never comes at all. You don't know how it's going to go.
Right.
But at least we have that documentation and people who are willing to write it down and willing to document the truth. And I think that's especially critical right now when you have like a federal government that isn't honest,
right?
to say the least. Exactly. And so, yeah, that moment on top of Darband Mountain is really when I was like, I'm going to pursue journalism. And then I finished my senior year at ASU. I was studying political science, women's studies, and justice studies. And then I did the master's program at Cronkite. And it's been a dream come true ever since.
Well, Arizona is definitely lucky to have you documenting and storytelling for all the stuff that's going on here and how that connects, you know, federally and also globally. So definitely really appreciate the work that you're doing, and they're very lucky to have you. I had one question. So what's the deal? Arizona is an incredible video series that you've started where you give us the lowdown on recent Arizona news in a short and easily digestible format. I'm wondering, what was the inspiration behind starting the series, and what kind of reactions have you seen from Arizonans on this?
So as I mentioned, I'm very passionate about documenting, very passionate about writing and storytelling. And we also have to admit that this is a completely changed media landscape.
Totally.
People aren't really reading as much long form, much to my dismay. I wish they were. Like, I love reading, love writing. Most of us went into this profession to write. And so we were thinking, like, what is something we can create that will capture the attention of Arizonans, capture the attention of folks who might not be as involved in the political realm, but they might stop and watch. And so we landed on a video series, right? We have to admit that the media landscape, people really like videos. People love TikTok, people love Instagram Reels.
Very familiar.
And so we were like, okay, we can still make this news accessible and tangible, just in a different way. I can still write, and I write my scripts. It's just not written form. So it's a different craft because you have to be more concise. You have to.
I struggle with that.
Yeah, same. Because like when I turn in articles, they're like 3,000 words, and my editor's like, "Hey,
let's cut this down a lot."
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we landed on a video series because I think it could, we knew it could do the most amount of good, make the most amount of change, and to capture folks' attention in a meaningful way. And like you mentioned, they're bite-sized. That's something we discussed. It shouldn't be, ideally it should be less than 2 minutes, and never more than 3.
Totally.
Because nobody has the attention span. Every video starts with like a hook to capture people's attention. We have like, it's very formulaic at this point. It takes time and there's a whole team behind it, but that was really the motivation behind it. And we also, something I really value about where I work is that they were like, we need to see, like, what is it that makes you you? And like, let's tap into that.
Yeah, the branding is very you, which
Thank
I
you.
love.
Yeah, like I love that I'm just like in my gold hoops and like I have my hair and I'm in my bright pink Barbie dream house room,
Yes.
you know? And like have personality. That's another thing we really wanted to focus on, is not to be mean to like news anchors, but not be like boring and like, this is the news. Like, that's boring, you know, and people don't want to be bored. And we're learning that like podcasts are doing really well. Duh. Like videos, like things that are entertaining and informative can make the most change.
Absolutely.
So Courier is really about meeting the political moment and the changed media landscape. And so that was a big component behind the video series. And it's been successfully launched, and we have 3 videos a week. And it's supposed to be a little bit like, not entirely, but like a little bit gossipy. Like, what's the deal?
What's going on?
Yeah, like what's the tea?
Yes.
And I think we've done a good job. So yeah.
I definitely agree. You guys are killing it with that.
Thank you.
Kind of on the same note, I'm wondering if there's a moment that kind of really made it sink in for you how drastically the media landscape has changed.
Yes. I think so. Like I mentioned, I got my following from Twitter, like in high school in like 2016. The thing about Twitter back then, well, it was Twitter,
Yes,
first of
it was,
all.
right.
And the feed ended at some point.
Right.
And
Oh my God.
It's so bad.
Not an endless.
It's so
Miss
bad,
that.
dude. I know, right?
You're like, I'm fully caught up and I'm done.
I know. I could refresh for literally 10 days straight and never end. It's so awful. But yeah, like back then it used to end. Back then you used to see who you followed and following, etc. I felt like I learned back then, right? Like it wasn't perfect back then. I was still big media, big tech, whatever, but I learned more on Twitter than I do today. Now I feel like I noticed in 2020, probably during COVID, once everything became really online, and there's so many different social media apps, so many different pages. There's pages for everything. There's niches I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
Like there's really a whole other internet out there than what I see. And I notice that when I talk to people in person and I'm like, did you see this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what?
Completely different corners of the internet.
Exactly. There's so many pockets. And so I think like post 2020, there was just so many changes, and it got really concerning. There's also just so many bad faith actors, right? Journalists in the past were bound by the fairness doctrine, which is like for broadcast mainly, but I still liked the premise of you have tools that other like regular non-journalists don't have access to. And because of that, you have to be more honest, more balanced with your coverage, more fair. And I thought that was good. There were still flaws at the time and in practice, but that's good, right? But now with an abundance of different mediums, people aren't bound by that.
No.
Right? Like they have their own interests, their desires. People want clout, and they're willing to lie, distort truth, sensationalize, spread conspiracy theories, just very dishonest stuff with the end goal of gaining traction and gaining a following. Because if you gain a following, that's where the money comes in, right? So it's really concerning algorithms, and that's something that we try to be mindful, and I especially try to be mindful of, is because like with this changed media landscape, there's more of a responsibility on those of us who are not bad faith actors to not engage with that, to give the news, to make it accessible and tangible, and not make conspiracy theories and not take advantage of people, because at the end of the day, it's like what it is, right? Like it's taking advantage of vulnerable people who are more susceptible to like conspiracies. So yeah, post 2020 is when I noticed everything was changing and blowing up, and then it just got worse every year after that.
Yep, and continuing to. So you've talked a bit about your Twitter presence and all of that, and as someone who also has a very online presence, I'm wondering, how do you deal with the internet haters? Because I'm sure you get them, as do I.
Oh my God, yeah. I get a lot. I've gotten a lot of comments for years, even prior to this role, from like Iranian people who just like don't like me or like my family or whatever, like political dispositions. And now with Courier, I get not a lot of hate comments, but enough, we do get so much love on the other hand, which is incredible. Yeah. The way I've dealt with it for years, and like ironically, the hate I got from like a lot of Iranians helped me prepare for the like now. It's compartmentalization, right? Like whenever I think about the hate people are sending me, a lot of the times it's just like an insult. But if you really look at it, like I told you, I study women's studies, right? And I love theory.
I also did as well. We have a very similar like college degree
Really?
path. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Besides that I didn't go to journalism school, but
yeah,
yes.
like I just love all things feminist, all things justice, all the things. So if you look at the insults, like on the surface, it's just an insult. At its core, it's usually misogynistic.
Totally.
It's usually sexist. Like, and I've taken time to look at like male video content creators. They're not getting comments like, I hate your voice.
No,
Your
not
hair's
at all.
ugly.
Right.
Your lipstick's, I'm like, this is so misogynistic. And so having,
Like as if our hair or lipstick was different, they would take our point.
I know. I'm like, you just hate me and
You
what
just-
I'm saying. And
right.
for some reason, you're like, and your hair looks bad. Like, and no, it doesn't.
Which, no, it doesn't. Also that.
Thank
Your
you.
beautiful hair.
Thank you. Yeah. So just like compartmentalizing it as like, okay, this is a mean comment, but it doesn't mean anything. And I think of it from the perspective of like, how much has this person suffered? Especially if it's like a woman commenting something misogynistic or sexist. I'm like, how much of your own life has been made harder because you're subduing yourself and dulling yourself down for like a male patriarchal world? Like, I don't want to do that. That's really boring to me. And like, so I think about it from that perspective of like having empathy for folks who are commenting things like that, because I'm so grateful that I've always like been able to express myself and be who I want to be, even in this role. Like you just said, my branding is very me. Like it's bright pink. And I'm grateful for that. It makes life more fulfilling.
Yes.
And so I think about it from that perspective of like, they don't have the tools in their toolkit that I did and that you do, right? Like we studied this stuff. We can recognize it. It can be hard to recognize for people who aren't aware.
Totally.
So having that like empathetic perspective and then just very looking at it logically, like this is logically not true. It's misogynistic. I know better than this. And it also just comes with the territory. Like every front face, like you said, you get hate comments. Every front facing figure, you could be
Like I'm doing my job.
exactly. You could literally be like anybody who's ever like anything, and you're gonna get hate comments, right? That's just how the nature of the internet.
Right.
Well,
and
they say that
politics particularly.
exactly, especially against women, right? Will they say that in real life to your face? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. Like the internet makes people more bold. But that's kind of how I deal with it. And then sometimes it's also just a generational divide. Like I said, Instagram, they're very nice. They're very kind.
Facebook.
Yeah, we don't talk about.
That is a scary place sometimes.
It really is. And then, well, I think about it. I'm like, well, yeah, Sahara, who's on Facebook? Like, you know, it's
right. It makes sense.
it's not my target demographic. So
Totally.
it makes sense that they would have more like adverse reactions. And then my last and final note on this is that if you're getting hate, like that means you're impactful, right? Like you're saying something that people want to silence.
Right.
And with young women, a common thing that they'll do is that they'll comment on your appearance or your vanity or your this and that. And that's to subdue you
Right.
and to dull like your shine. And so I don't give into that. And also having a strong support system is really helpful. Because if they do get to me, I'll just text one of my friends.
And they'll be like,
Exactly, like you just said, your hair is gorge. I'll text you, and then you'll just make me feel better.
Exactly.
What about you? How do you deal with it?
pretty much the same. I posted a video that like some of my TikToks have been blowing up on Facebook recently, and
I'm so sorry.
I get yeah, me too. Maybe need to look at if we're putting them there still, but I'm getting a lot of comments about like my piercings. And
They
people
always do
being
that.
people being like, oh, saw the profile picture, like knew it.
Yeah, it's so corny.
Honestly, they're not good insults.
They're
So
not
maybe if they were better,
good.
it would affect me more. But I mostly
Yeah.
just find them funny.
They're funny.
Like somebody posted a meme of like holding a double, I don't know the names of specific batteries, but like holding a battery to like a septum piercing.
Oh my gosh.
And I just thought it was pretty funny, and I sent some screenshots to my friends, and yeah, we just laughed about it pretty much.
That's
and
how
I'm
you
like,
reclaim
okay,
it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are not funny, but you are funny, and
Yeah.
you're wrong, and you're upset because I'm saying something that is
Provoking you,
exactly
right?
which is ultimately what
that's
I
the goal.
want to do.
Yeah, we're trying to get people to talk and to think. On that same note, whenever I see like really creative insults, I'm like, you know what? At least they're being creative.
You know, somebody said, is that so you know, Chapel Roan's like Grammys fit with the dress,
Yeah.
with the like the nip piercing dress.
Oh my God.
And somebody commented like, oh, is that Chapel Roan? And I was like,
All
thank
right.
you. And also that might be my Halloween costume this year because I do love a bit, and I will like carry that on.
No, in a world where like AI is taking over everything, I'm like, you know what? If you guys are thinking and being creative,
Right, I'll take it.
We'll allow that.
But also nothing too abusive.
Yeah,
so
chill.
far. Okay, shifting gears a little bit, I'm wondering, like, tell me about what are some of your favorite stories to report on?
My favorite stories to report on. It's tough because the stories are so like sad. A lot of the stuff I'm reporting on are just really harrowing, right? But my favorite thing to report on in general is human centered, right? Like I write about issues and topics or what like the GOP is doing or what this Democrat is doing, whatever. Mm-hmm. That's like, not really provocative. There's not like too much compelling emotion. I really like to center people.
Show the impact.
Yeah, because I feel like for me growing up, probably for a lot of people, it feels like politics is just a word. And it feels really far away. Mm-hmm. When you think about politics, you think about like DC and like guys in suits.
Right.
You're not thinking about like my local legislator who like is out in the community, right? Like they're very accessible. Mm-hmm. I mean, they should be. But, so I like to do the human stories that make politics and policy accessible and like humanize them, mm-hmm. kind of.
So and show that it's everywhere.
Exactly. It's widespread. Here's how it's affecting you, your community, Arizona specifically. Mm-hmm. And that's come out a lot with like reporting on people impacted by Trump's mass deportation agenda and ICE here in Arizona. Because like I said, it feels far away. Maybe it feels even like, oh, that's Minnesota or that's here. And
so removed.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But it's like, no, here is a mother. Here is a business owner. Mm-hmm. Here is someone who added to the community, and now they're in detention. Mm-hmm. And then they're in detention in really egregious conditions, right? So my favorite stories to report on are stuff that humanize the issue and make it less abstract. And then obviously, after the fact, my favorite component is if a story has been successful in helping whatever it might be.
Achieve a different outcome.
Yeah, like we had a couple of stories where like, people were able to like spread the word and they got a congresswoman's attention and now they're getting help, or like more funding to their GoFundMe, whatever it might be. Something where it's like there's progress. Every journalist is so thrilled to know that their writing made a difference.
Totally. So you've reported on being in immigration court and seeing children have to represent themselves. I'm wondering, what is that like? What does it sound like? And what are you seeing in the courtroom? What are the reactions from people as they're seeing, these kids being forced to defend themselves without attorneys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that story was, it made waves. It was really impactful for folks. It really resonated with people. It garnered a lot of attention because it's so harrowing and so compelling. And so unfortunate, right? Like those conditions. To walk you through it, what it looks like is, it's in Tucson Immigration Court, mm-hmm. which is 2 hours from Phoenix, mm-hmm. and it's at 8:30 sharp.
Oh, so you're
up,
getting down
up
there.
Early. Yeah,
yep.
I usually set my alarm for like 4 a.m, and then leave the house at like 6. Have you ever driven to Tucson?
Oh yeah, for sure. I grew up in Sierra Vista, Arizona, which is a little further. So
yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Tucson.
Yeah. Oh, really? I love Tucson.
Yeah, I do too.
It's so cute.
Anybody who hates on Tucson,
they're not welcome.
Don't trust them.
Yeah, like I don't mind the drive, but at 6 a.m, for some reason, there's a lot of traffic. I'm like, why are you guys going to Tucson?
A lot of people commute. It's
they
crazy.
Do. It
yeah.
was really jarring to me. So it's a very long drive. There's usually traffic, and then you get there, you go into the courthouse. It's really somber. It's, as you could expect, very somber.
Yeah.
It's children,
yes.
right? They usually have shelter staff there with the kids. And then the judge, the translator, because most of them, their first language is not English, mm-hmm. And like the court clerk. It's a courthouse, so it's very drab. Like the way I can describe it literally is it's gray, right? And then add the emotions on top of it. It's very unsettling. Mm-hmm. And then you see kids with, one girl had like a pink bow in her hair. Another, Lucy, the 3-year-old that we reported on, she had a plushie with her, because they're kids.
Right.
And, I'm sure as when we were kids, like I had pink bows in my hair.
Right, and stuffed animals and all that.
Stuffed animals. I'd cry if I lost my stuffed animal. And I can't even imagine having to go to court and then being, wait, where's my stuffed animal? Luckily,
right.
They had her stuffed animal.
Much less like your family.
Exactly. And so it's really jarring. And it's jarring from everyone's perspective. Even the judge will indicate sorrow. Like she'll always be like, oh, she's so cute, or oh, it's just really, it's not an apt environment for a child to be in. And so it also, I remember there was one kid, he was like 14 and he kept like tapping his leg. And then I realized it was his turn to go up soon. So then he went up and then he like did voluntary departure, which a lot of kids opt for voluntary departure because it's scary going against the federal government.
Yeah.
You know, like who wants to do that at any age, much less under 18,
right.
a minor, a child. And so then he went back to his seat and I noticed he was like visibly calmer. It's really boring for the kids because they're kids.
Right.
But it's not like the alternative. It's not like it's better once they leave the courthouse because for the most part, most of them are going back to detention. It's just like children's detention, but detention nonetheless.
Right. And we've seen plenty about how horrible these centers are.
Exactly. Like just not good conditions for a child who's supposed to be watching cartoons and playing with dolls.
They're supposed to be protected.
Yeah, especially like by
if we're not protecting kids in our society, what the fuck are we doing?
What does that say about like the country and the trajectory that we're following?
Yeah.
Right. It's really concerning. And so it's just a lot of sadness in the room. And the lawyers and the shelter staff, you can tell that they try to get the mood up, but it's hard. And then there's the DHS lawyer who I've noticed she, and I don't know much about her, but I've noticed that she doesn't always like make eye contact with the kids. And I think that's like telling of itself.
Yeah, I think that's extremely telling.
Yeah, because if you made eye
what
contact,
you're doing is fucked up.
yeah, like you're prosecuting. One, you're working on behalf of the federal government during mass deportations that are really uprooting people's lives, but you're doing it against a kid who doesn't know any better and who looks at adults as a source of comfort, right? You're supposed to be the protector. You're supposed to protect me. So it's a really, it feels really troubling to be there. It's just feels like shaking. And then, when we reported on it, it did really well. And that's because the topic itself, when you read the headline, you're like, what? Like,
it's just so clearly.
This is so, who would see that and be like, no, this is like,
this is what we're
this
doing.
is a functional society.
Yeah,
exactly. Like even the people that recognize that it was wrong, they argue something different. Like they're not like, oh, this is like totally good and fine.
But we have to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody can probably walk away like, oh, it's concerning to put a kid through immigration court. So it's a really somber experience for everybody involved. It's not fun because it's court, and it's especially not fun because it's children in court. And that's why we try to bring as much attention as we can to it as possible. And that's why we're willing to make the commute to Tucson, because otherwise, who's going to advocate for those kids and tell those stories for those kids and make it clear what's happening in our country as a result of mass deportation agenda and the Trump administration?
How do you as a person deal with having to report on like such terrible situations? What keeps you kind of grounded in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I think it's so important to have like a good self-care routine. I think every journalist will tell you that, especially when it's really troubling stuff like this. You know, if I was writing about like entertainment stuff, and that's not to discount entertainment journalists, but it's just like completely different ballpark, you know, then I think like you just have to, you have to have a good way to like take a moment, be very checked in with yourself. I have a really strong self-care routine. Every weekend I go to the park, read my book, do my cryptograms. Another thing that really helps me is just knowing that I'm doing what I can do. You know, like this is, the pen can do a lot. It doesn't always change your trajectory. Sometimes things won't get better.
Sometimes it takes time.
Sometimes it takes time, but I'm doing what's available to me right now and in this moment. And that brings me a sense of peace and calm. Because if I wasn't doing anything, if I was just aware that that was happening, then I would probably feel much worse.
Yeah.
Right? But knowing that, okay, I'm using the tools in my toolkit to do what I can to shine light, and then whatever happens next, that's what makes me feel better. So I think that's for a lot of journalists. Sometimes we don't feel good. Like sometimes it really does suck to report on some stories and conditions, but you have to have like the bandwidth, and you have to understand like this is the job, and if you don't report on it, it's possible nobody would.
Yeah.
And that's a shame in and of itself. So stuff like that.
Totally. I mean, I'm not a journalist, but working in politics, I definitely feel that heaviness very frequently, but and I get asked all the time, like, how do you do what you do? And my answer is genuinely always like, I don't know what else I would be doing. Like,
Right.
this is the thing that I do to like make me feel like I'm doing something about what's
Exactly.
happening.
I would
So,
feel worse if I wasn't doing this,
right.
you know?
Has there been any story or interview that stayed with you long after reporting it, and what made it so impactful for you?
Yeah, I think definitely Children's Immigration Court, as we just mentioned, for all the reasons before. More recently, just reported on Christian Diaz, who was the patriarch of his house. The family called the police, and Phoenix PD allegedly came to the scene and fired a shot, and Diaz died as a result. I spoke with his stepson about what happened, how the family's dealing with things, just to get a sense of what had occurred. It was really harrowing. Of course, police brutality, we know it exists. I'm sure you and I like both grew up seeing videos and hearing stories. Now it was different. I've never reported on it. I've never met and interacted and talked with people who have directly been impacted by violence and negligence in that way. So that really stuck with me, especially because he said the last conversation he had with his stepdad was an argument. And you know, it's because how could you know that that's your last interaction with your family member? You don't. And it was such a human and unfortunately human thing. Like, oh, we just had an argument. I didn't know that was the last time. And so that really stood out to me. And I thought it was really important that people hear that story, and whatever semblance of justice comes as a result is important. And one more thing that also stood out to me was that I reported on Judas Rivera, who was a 20-year-old, about 20-ish, who was on his way to work, lived here his whole life, and was apprehended by ICE on his way to work. And speaking with his family, it was his mom, his sister, I think his cousin, and they three were like just sobbing on the call. It was so heartbreaking. And then so we reported on the story, and what happened was he was on his way to work, and then he got picked up by ICE, and ICE allegedly put his location, a country of origin, as Afghanistan. He was from Mexico. So the family was really worried. You know, Trump's doing these third country deportations.
Totally.
Yeah, there's no regard for law. Like anything could happen. And so that was something that kept coming up. So we emailed ICE for a statement. Hi, just like a general statement about what happened, and then also like, why are you guys not changing? They said that they had asked repeatedly for them to change it, and ICE repeatedly said, no, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Once we emailed them, after so many rejections from the lawyer, from the family, once we emailed them, they changed it. And so that was very impactful for me to know that like the written word got something effective done for somebody, for a family. And then they messaged me like a week or so, maybe 2 weeks or so later, to say that thanks to that, they were able to, their Judas got bond, and it made things so much easier because we were able to get them to shift the country beforehand. Like, it made paperwork and all the things easier. So that stuck with me. And then I reported on another immigrant, Yassine Halul, who is here on a visa, and he's at the U of A, but ICE came to his door at like 6 in the morning, handcuffed him, purple handcuffs, and then took him to detention. And he was in detention for some time, and he told me about the conditions in there, and they were really unfortunate and really unsettling, and it was really hard for him in there. And then he said one thing that kept him sane were his two friends. They were his age. And then as I'm writing the story, I'm like, hey, can you send me photos for the front photo? He sends me a photo, and it's him and Judas Rivera.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like the guy I reported on before. And that stuck with me because I'm talking about like, oh, it's so important to humanize stories. It really humanized it for me in that moment, right? Because I was like, oh my God, like the overlap of like, I'm people in my community that I'm talking to, and now he's sending me a picture of them in ICE detention, right? So that was really impactful because it really showed me the scope of like, who they're going. How far reaching, yeah, how far reaching, who they're going after, the fact that it's connected, that was so jarring for me.
A student, somebody on their way to work, like.
Exactly, 20-year-olds, right? And luckily, like, they're both out now on bond, and I'm not sure how things are going now, but thankfully they're out to tell their stories. So those are the ones that stood out to me the most, especially that the one with Judas, because it was you saw the impact in real time, right?
Yeah.
Like they finally changed the country of origin.
Which is a whole thing in itself that
Why wouldn't you do that to begin with?
right.
Like why?
Well, and just that if you actually are from Afghanistan, like good luck getting bond,
Yeah.
which is
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So I mean, so when you're talking to these families and you're talking to people who are dealing with this, how do you navigate like building that trust to where they will like share these things with you and show that vulnerability to you? Because I imagine, when you're going through something like that or your family member is, it would, in my view, probably be pretty hard to trust people and to want to talk about that, I guess, publicly.
Absolutely. That's something that's come up. We've had people who I'll interview them and then we're ready to publish. And then at the last minute, they're like, I'm afraid. Like, I'm just terrified of what this could mean. Like if the federal government, they're afraid of the federal government, which is really shocking. Like it should not be like that. Not shocking. It just shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
That you're afraid to literally speak to a journalist about what occurred, what happened. That's fact, right?
Right.
What happened. But you're afraid because you're hearing about retribution and the potential of not getting bond and things like that.
Being further targeted.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a lot of like journalism rules that you learn in school. And some of them, great. But in this political moment, things change, right? So sometimes we'll say like, we can give you confidentiality, or we can even like not put your last name. Or if it's a circumstance of like, I don't know, the dad's undocumented, like, just navigating that and putting safety first, because it's our job to document what's happening. It's also, they're trusting us with this story. It would be just horrific if somebody was trusting you with a story and then your story is what makes things worse for them.
Right.
The whole principle and like the premise is to help folks, not hurt folks. So like, I usually, like if they don't know me or whatever, I'll send them like my past articles and I'll tell them like, you can look at my articles, my page, you can see like
what you're about.
Yeah. And I totally get it, because there are like gotcha journalists, like, there are outlets that are like suspicious.
Predatory.
Yeah. And shady and all the things. And we never want to do that. So I also think it helps that being front facing and like being in the community, like,
see your authenticity.
Yeah, like I've had people come up to me recently and they were like, oh my God, you're always on my Instagram feed. It's like so cool to see like you actually come to things. And I was like, yeah, like I'm so glad. Like, so I think that also builds that sense of familiarity and trust. And just like, if my source says like, I'm uncomfortable with like this, then we're like, okay, like we can work with that. I'm not going to like keep something in that you're like, I don't want that and that could harm my safety. The story is not that important. Like it is, but I'm not going to like put you at stake and your family at risk because I want a byline, right? Yeah. So the shifting journalism norms or something that journalists in the 21st century, as we're talking about the changed media landscape, it's a shifted political landscape. Yeah. There's serious ramifications for if you mess up. So it's important to be cognizant, to do the right thing, to protect your sources, because you can do more if you protect your sources and you get the story out there. Right. Then people can help your source, then more people feel comfortable coming to you. It's something that we really pride ourselves on at Copper Courier and Courier in general, is telling the truth. And also protecting people in the face of such a turbulent government,
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, so what stories are you working on now? What do people in Arizona need to be aware of that you're maybe working on or want to report on?
Yeah, so right now I think I'm almost done. It might be published like today. Local businesses impacted by tariffs. Okay. As you know, they put tariffs on. Trump put tariffs last year, and then
illegally.
Yeah, and then the Supreme Court ruled against them, and then he put another 10% tariff. So it's been shifting
back and forth.
Yeah. So I don't know, like if we publish it today, if something's gonna change tomorrow. But like for right now, it's about Gabe Hagan from Brick Road Coffee and how he's been impacted by his coffee shop has been impacted by tariffs, and like his not only as his business but his dream of opening a roastery was impacted by tariffs, right? So it's about that, and then working on something about slowed down DACA processing times. Okay. It's something that people know about DACA, but stuff where it's like slowed down processing times, that doesn't sound.
It doesn't mean anything really to people.
Yeah, but it really has intense impacts on folks.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you can't work, like you're really hindered in what you can and can't do. And that feels intentional, right?
For sure.
If we're talking about mass deportations and now they're slowing down, like, so it's stuff like that. And then we're always doing new videos. We have 3 videos a week, and those are really contingent on the news of that week. So yeah, there's just always stuff in the works. As we approach closer to the midterms, we're going to do more about like specifically races and candidates, and we're kind of getting ready for that. But yeah, right now.
The midterms.
Who's scared?
I'm not ready. Yeah, me. I'm definitely not ready, but well, really excited to read those stories. I know the tariff conversation has been big in Arizona, particularly with Chris Mays leading the lawsuit on that. But
Absolutely.
It's very hard to keep up with because it does seem like every other day. It's
every
like
other day.
Tariffs, no, yes.
That's what I'm saying. When you have a turbulent government, the turbulence comes with it, right? And it's something that impacts people in real time. And that also means my article changes by the day.
Yes.
So.
Well, I just have a few fun questions for you to
Yay.
wrap up with. You mentioned that you're a big reader. What book are you reading right now, and what are a few of your favorites?
I love reading. I'm a huge reader. If I didn't study political science, I was going to study English. I actually did. I signed up for ACU to study English, and then I changed at the very last minute. But yeah, huge reader. Thanks for noticing. Right now, I'm currently reading Virginia Giuffre's memoir, which has really ignited an anger within me at like the cover up and everything with the Epstein files, how it's been like memeified, how it's been like made into conspiracies when the actual crimes are so horrific.
Right. We don't. Yeah.
Right. Like, why is this a meme? Like, what happened is so jarring.
I think the impact really gets like the fact that there were actually like
serious
young
crimes
women and little girls. Like
exactly. Like that is that not jarring enough? Now we have to make weird conspiracy. Okay, so that's what I'm reading. 75%.
I'll have to add that to my list.
It's very impactful. I used to work in sexual violence prevention, so I'm we're both feminists. So right, like I'm so proud of. I don't even know Virginia Giuffre, but I'm so proud.
The courage that it takes.
There's so much courage. That she led the fight. That she was a survivor. That she wrote the book. At all, and I would love to see justice served. I'm also my favorite books. I'm a history fanatic, so I love Lilac Girls. Have you heard of it?
I haven't.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It's about 3 different women in Nazi Germany. Well, during the time of Nazi Germany. All the chapters are separate, but eventually their paths cross.
Okay, I love a book like that.
I love a book like that. They did it so artfully. It was so masterful. So I loved that book. I was sobbing by the end. I love The Lion Women of Tehran. It's about multiple generations of women fighting against fascism, fighting against their government, fighting against injustice. And it's a very feminist book. It's also very historical. As a student of history, I didn't notice any historical discrepancies or inaccuracies. So I loved that. I love The Book Thief. That's also about World War II.
That's a good book. I love
Such a good book. For the Sun After Long Nights was written by a fellow journalist, 2 fellow journalists, one from the Washington Post and one from Iran. They're amazing. And it's about how they documented the Zan Zindagi Azadi, the women life freedom movement in 2022 in Iran, how they documented it. It's very Iranian women coded, which is like, and it's journalists. So I just felt very like attached.
Very connected to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
very connected to it. So it was such a masterpiece. I have so many. Everybody needs to add me on Goodreads. Add me on Goodreads.
Yes, plug that.
Yeah, seriously, it's like Sahara Sajjadi, I think. I'm always posting book reviews on my story. I love to read. What's your favorite book?
What's my favorite book? Let's see. I was not expecting to be asked the question.
I'm a journalist.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Last year I read a book called The Door by Magda Szabo. It's translated from Hungarian, and it's set in like kind of like immediately post-communist Hungary, and it's about a woman and her like housekeeper who lives on her grounds, and like kind of their relationship and all of the secrets that she has. It was really, really good. I've noticed that I have unintentionally an affinity for like Eastern European like translated, like all
That's cool.
all authors that are written by women. So that's something that I read last year that I really liked. This year, I finally read Crying in H Mart by.
That's so good.
Yeah, it was an amazing book, and then I had to like go through and listen to all her music again after.
I did that too.
Yeah.
After I went and listened
And then
to the music.
there were several like songs that she referenced in the book that were not like songs, because she didn't really talk that much about like her like Japanese breakfast, one of her projects, but
I know, right?
Yeah, which I didn't expect, but
I didn't know about like the music at all,
Oh,
like really, until like I think I read like the back of the book, and then I was like, what?
Oh yeah, no, I was a fan of her music first, and then read her book, but there were several like artists that she mentioned in the book that then I also like added to my Spotify, which I am not on anymore, but I need to translate all of that over.
That book you mentioned sounds so good. I might add that to my list. I love translated books because I'm like, that's so, it means so much to me that somebody translated it. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're allowing me to read this book that I would not have access to otherwise.
I saw an interesting stat, and I have not fact checked it, but something about like only 1% of the books that are available in English are like books that were translated, and then I just think about like all of the literature that we are missing out on.
I always think about that. I always think about the books that like I don't have enough time in my life to read them all. Mm-hmm. I also think about all the friends I would make if I spoke their language. Mm-hmm. Because how many people would we be best friends forever with if they spoke or we spoke their language? I think about that all the time. So we're totally locked in here.
On the same page. Yeah. Right now I'm also reading a book, or I'm listening to it right now. It's called Sky Full of Elephants, and it's about basically what happens when one day all of the white people in America walk into their nearest body of water and like commit suicide effectively, and then what happens after that. It's like it's a Afrofuturist book.
Is it like a cult? How did they get all the white people to do that?
So that is a question that I
do not have an
answer to it yet, but
we'll have to circle back.
Very interesting premise.
That does sound interesting.
I'm about, I think, a third of the way through, so still lots of information that we don't have about like just what the.
I'm gonna follow up on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how did it end?
It's been really good so far. I highly recommend it at this point. So
I will add it to my Goodreads.
Yes, please do. And I'll have to add you on there for sure.
Yay.
Okay, so you have a completely free day to do whatever you want. It's a beautiful day in Phoenix with perfect weather. It's not hot yet. What's the itinerary?
I literally do this every single weekend. Every single weekend, I'm like, I will have my dream day ever. And that's my self-care, okay? Mm-hmm. So I wake up naturally. My kitty's probably sleeping on me. And then I do my skincare, and then I pack my bag. I'll eat whatever, pack my bag, go to the park. Okay, the park has to have a lake because there's ducks if there's a lake. And I really like ducks.
Well, that wouldn't be safe for me in that book, but.
Do you not like ducks?
No, the lake.
That's funny. Yeah, so I have to go to that park. I will do my yoga. It has to be in the sunlight because I like to photosynthesize. Mm-hmm. I love to be in the sunlight.
Very nice.
And then I'll read whatever I'm reading. I will do my cryptograms. Do you know what cryptograms are?
I don't.
They're so fun. I mean, nobody thinks that besides me, but they're like a puzzle book. Okay. And it'll do like a sentence, and the sentence is like a code. You have to figure it out.
Okay.
I have to show you.
Fun.
It's so fun.
I like
so
code
fun.
stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like Sudoku kind of vibe. So that's really fun. I'm working.
Games in general are my.
They help fight Alzheimer's and dementia.
Okay, well, I'm a fan of that.
I love doing that.
I'm a fan of fighting Alzheimer's and dementia.
I'm really passionate.
Let the record show.
So I'll do that. I've been trying to better my Farsi literacy. So usually I will just pick a song that I've been listening to and just write it all down, and then I'm going to write it in English to make sure I did it right. Usually by like 5, I get hungry. Like this is all in the park, mind you. I'll get hungry and it's kind of hot. Like, and then I'll go eat dinner. Usually I'll go home, but if I'm going out, I'll go to like Taco Cello.
Okay, nice.
I love Taco Cello. Really like so good. Taco Cello, Taco Poppy.
I haven't been to Taco Poppy.
They're good, but they're not Taco Cello. They're both great, but like I'll go to Thai. I'll get Thai food, and then I'll come home. And then I'll come home, take a shower, do my skincare, watch whatever I'm watching.
Nice.
In my room, light a candle, do my face mask, lights out, by 9 p.m.
Wow, I need to get on that.
I'm not a night person.
I need to get on that wave.
I'm a morning girl. What time do you go to sleep?
Let's see, depending on who's watching this podcast, I'll say 11 or 12, but the real answer can be like 1 or 2 sometimes.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not
11
ideal.
or 12 is like, I usually wake up like 3 times a night. So 11 or 12 is like when my first wake up.
Your first.
And then 2 to 3 is my second. So when you're going to sleep is when I'm like, damn, I'm so tired. Like,
well, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I really am. You said you have a pet. You have a cat. You have
I have
more pets besides that?
Yes, I love my kids. So I have Rondo. He is a dog. He's a Shih Tzu poodle. He's so honorable. He's so sweet.
He's so honorable. I've never heard a dog described that way.
He's so honorable. You have to meet him. He's so sweet. Like, he is my first dog ever. So just feel so attached to him. And he's taught me a lot. Like, this podcast becoming about my dogs is so funny, but he's taught me a lot. Like, sometimes I'll walk him and instead of rushing, he's like very slow and patient. And he really taught me to slow down. Cause I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, why are we rushing? It's like such a nice walk.
We're taking a stroll.
Yeah, I'm like,
we're taking a jaunt.
Smell the flowers,
yes,
you know?
Exactly.
So him and then my kitty cat, Rihanna, or Ree, we call her.
Cute.
She's so cute. She's so small. I don't know why she never got bigger. And then Mocha, she is the youngest. She's like the most energetic and like crazy. They all have a really unique relationship. It's so funny in my house. Like, in my room, my cat gets along with Mocha, but downstairs they don't get along.
Huh.
And we're like, what's the problem?
That's really interesting.
Do you have pets?
Yeah, so I have a white cat. Her name is Near. She's named after an anime, which there's like a character that wears all white. So, Death Note, if anybody is a fan of anime. And then my boyfriend has a dog, and her name is Naga, and from Legend of Korra. Avatar: The Last Airbender. So really exposing us both for being anime nerds, but
Nerd. No, we love nerds.
These pets do not get along super great. But I think that they like to cause drama like when we're there and they know that they're protected. But we hear from our roommate that when we're not there, like they get along fine.
That's how it is with my pets.
So,
I'm like, why is it only fighting when we're home?
Right.
Like, hello.
They're messy.
Near and Naga?
Near and Naga, yeah.
That's so
Which,
cute.
Of course, they're like 4-letter like names, both starting with N. So I'm constantly like, Near, Naga, one of you, whichever one of you.
That's really
is currently
cute.
in my way.
You need to show me a picture after.
Yes, I will. Okay, last question. Is there any good good spots for Iranian food in Arizona?
Yeah, my house.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
I kind of figured that might be the answer.
No, my friends are always like, let's go get Mediterranean or Middle Eastern or what. I'm like, I have that at home. Like,
yeah.
No, it's obviously I'm biased because at my house I don't have to pay extra for everything. And I'm vegetarian, so my family will make like vegetarian kebab, which is literally like impossible meat seasoned. It's so good.
Oh, nice.
I need to bring you some, seriously.
Yes.
So my house, but if I have to leave my house, there's really not a lot of Iranian spots.
Like specifically Iranian, right?
Yeah, but there's Persian room, which is really good.
Okay, I'm there.
And then I really like Pars cuisine.
Okay.
They have like a shiitake mushroom vegetarian kebab.
I do like a shiitake mushroom.
It's really good. It changed my life. So I really liked that. But ultimately, if you guys really want the best Iranian food, you gotta come over.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll wait for my invite. Well, okay, I have one final question to you, and that is, Sahara, what do you refuse to leave unsaid?
Dude, I'm a Gemini. Like, I will say everything, but
you're like, not a problem for me.
I'm like 5 more hours. Perfect. Like, no, okay. There's a lot. I really hope that young girls watching this and women, like people who are trying to make sense of like a highly gendered and patriarchal world will watch this and see like 2 women who like found a field and are true to themselves and their values, right? And like are making it work. I feel like the traditional understanding of journalism is that it's really boring, it's drab. And
you make it look fun, I'll say that.
Thanks. Like that's the goal, right? Like it's one to like give you the news, but it's to not get lost in it and to like meet the changing media landscape. I feel like a lot of times a lot of women and girls will subdue themselves and be less feminine or them and this and that, like whatever, to fit into like a highly male world, and that it shouldn't be like that.
We don't need more of We
don't
don't
need
need
more
more
men. No, we seriously don't.
This is not another bro pod,
Exactly.
for the record.
Exactly. So I hope that people watching this will understand that like you don't have to fit into spaces that are just going to dull your sparkle. Another thing that I will not leave unsaid, this is really important to me, as you know, like my Iranian identity means a lot to me. Iranian people are fighting, putting their bodies on the line against a really turbulent government. In January, thousands of people were massacred in the streets, and we do not know the final number, but we know it's in the thousands. It could be higher than the lowest number. And I hope that people, Arizona is so important and so far away from Iran, but I hope people will understand that Iranian people had their country taken from them overnight. And now they're in a fascist, clerical, authoritarian regime. And we should all be cognizant of how easy that can happen and to fight against that here and globally. So I hope that also people watching this will pay attention to the Iranian plight. There are hundreds of people who are at risk of execution if we don't put some type of political pressure to address human rights concerns and to save and spare their lives and protect them from sham trials that will eventually hand them the death penalty on a ridiculous charge. So I hope that people watching this will understand the Iranian plight and that Iranian people, especially Iranian women and girls, have been protesting for 47 years in different mechanisms, in different ways, and will continue to do so. And how easy it is for people to lose a country to a fascist and authoritarian regime. And we should all be cognizant, and we should all be on the front lines fighting here in Arizona and trying to protect a system and fight for a better system.
Yeah, no, that definitely resonates now, and I definitely love how proudly and central your Iranian identity is in your online presence, and I think it definitely, like, that background shows up in your reporting, and I certainly have learned a lot from just like following you and seeing your updates and stuff like that. So I really, really appreciate that, and I hope that everybody hears your words and continues to learn more and to reject the fascist takeover that we're experiencing here, and to speak up for where it's happening around the world. So,
everywhere, right? It's so important everywhere because
it's a global trend. For
sure.
What
happens in America can set the foundation for other countries. And so it's so important that in every pocket of the world, people stand up and fight against it and fight for a better, more progressive and better future, starting in Arizona and rippling onwards.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Really enjoyed the conversation, and want everybody to follow Sahara on social media, follow Copper Courier. They're doing amazing work, and she particularly is doing amazing reporting. And the What's the Deal Arizona video series is something you should keep an eye out for 3 times a week. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. This, like I said, dream come true.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.